When you're up here in this briefing room speaking to the American public, do you view yourself and your role as speaking on, advocating on behalf of the president, or providing the unvarnished truth that is, not to lie, not to obfuscate to the American people?
As we're dealing with anti-DEI, anti-woke efforts, we understand this administration is thinking about celebrating Black History Month. Have you got any word on that? Anything that you can offer to us?
The president talked a lot yesterday about hiring the best and the brightest to work in the federal government. Safety aside, does he believe that disabled people do have a place to work in the federal government? And does he also support the current protections for...
Look, we want people to return to work. We have beautiful federal office buildings here in Washington, D.C. that American taxpayers are paying for. They should be used. That's what the American people deserve.
But is there any concern that we risk losing people with years of experience, like doctors and let's say scientists?
Well, most doctors...
Reporters thought they had Karoline Leavitt cornered. But instead, they walked straight into trouble. In her first 10 minutes as Trump's press secretary, she tore apart their narratives with blunt facts, leaving them speechless. When they tried pushing their DEI agenda, she stunned everyone with a response that echoed Morgan Freeman's famous view on Black History Month. And when Joy Behar attempted to discredit her, Leavitt responded with such authority that it was clear who truly had the upper hand. This is a moment you won't want to miss. Karoline Leavitt may be new to the role, but she's already making a huge impact as Trump's press secretary. In no time, she's shown she's not here to play around, shutting down media narratives with solid facts, unshakable confidence, and a calm composure that has reporters scrambling. She's fearless in standing her ground. And today we're showcasing some of her most unforgettable moments when she left reporters completely speechless. Trust me, you don't want to miss this.
When you're up here in this briefing room speaking to the American public, do you view yourself and your role as speaking on, advocating on behalf of the president, or providing the unvarnished truth that is, not to lie, not to obfuscate to the American people?
I commit to telling the truth from this podium every single day. I commit to speaking on behalf of the President of the United States. That is my job. And I will say it's very easy to speak truth from this podium when you have a president who is implementing policies that are wildly popular with the American people. And that's exactly what this administration is doing. It's correcting the lies and the wrongs of the past 4 years, many of the lies that have been told to your faces in this very briefing room. I will not do that. But since you brought up Truth Seek, I would like to point out, while I vow to provide the truth from this podium, we ask that all of you in this room hold yourselves to that same standard. We know for a fact there have been lies that have been pushed by many legacy media outlets in this country about this president, about his family, and we will not accept that. We will call you out when we feel that your reporting is wrong or there is misinformation about this White House. So yes, I will hold myself to the truth, and I expect everyone in this room to do that.
In just 10 minutes of her first press briefing, Karoline Leavitt made it clear she wouldn't back down. At only 27, she became the youngest ever White House press secretary under Trump, a role she earned through her sharp communication skills during his third campaign. Her qualifications are impressive. She studied communications and political science at St. Anselm College in New Hampshire before venturing into politics. Prior to this, she worked with Kayleigh McEnany as an assistant press secretary, getting ready for intense media showdowns with the mainstream press. In 2022, she also ran for Congress, securing a primary win against a fellow Republican before ultimately losing to the Democratic incumbent. Still, there's no question that her influence in conservative politics continues to grow.
As we're dealing with anti-DEI, anti-woke efforts, we understand this administration is thinking about celebrating Black History Month. Have you got any word on that? Anything that you can offer to us?
As far as I know, this White House certainly still intends to celebrate, and we will continue to celebrate American history and the contributions that all Americans, regardless of race, religion, or creed, have made to our great country, and America is back.
Karoline Leavitt has conducted 2 press briefings so far, and one thing stands out. Reporters have been persistent with their questions about DEI programs. It almost seemed like they were trying to catch her off guard, but that didn't happen. One of her responses echoed the legendary Morgan Freeman, who once called Black History Month an insult, asking why history should be limited to just 1 month. He argued that Black history is American history, a perspective that Karoline Leavitt seems to share. However, the media wasn't content with that response. Determined to twist her words and create a gotcha moment, they kept pressing, but Leavitt held her ground with unshakable confidence, countering their narratives with irrefutable logic, never wavering, and making it clear she wasn't about to let the media control the conversation.
The president talked a lot yesterday about hiring the best and the brightest to work in the federal government. Safety aside, does he believe that disabled people do have a place to work in the federal government? And does he also support the current protections for disabled people working in the private sector as well?
The president has made it very clear that this is a common sense solution to solving some of the problems that we have seen at the Federal Aviation Administration, and also when it comes to many of the federal agencies across our government. People should not be hired based on their disabilities, based on their skin color, their gender, their race. None of that matters. What matters to this president and this administration is how well you can do your job, and the American people agree with that sentiment. So it's about competence, skill, and merit. And so the president is focused on ensuring that the most competent individuals, the best and the brightest in this country, are in positions in this federal government, especially when it comes to public safety. Can't overemphasize the importance of those jobs.
Karoline Leavitt isn't here to entertain conspiracy theories. She's focused on offering practical insights. Unfortunately, that appears to be too much for the mainstream media, which often prioritizes victimhood over personal responsibility. During one of her briefings, reporters kept revisiting the same old questions, emphasizing identity-based issues instead of merit and qualifications. Leavitt, however, wasn't backing down. She firmly stated that if you're qualified for a job, you've earned it. No questions. Take Stephen Hawking, for example. Despite his disability, he became one of the most accomplished theoretical physicists in history. True success isn't about labels. It's about skill. And when the media continued to press, Leavitt shut them down without hesitation.
I think just to put a fine point on this, because this is the third or fourth question I've answered on this subject, when you are flying on an airplane with your loved ones, which every one of us in this room has, do you pray that your plane lands safely and gets you to your destination, or do you pray that the pilot has a certain skin color? I think we all know the answer to that question, and as President Trump said yesterday, it's common.
Joy Behar couldn't resist taking a swipe at Karoline Leavitt, implying she only got the job because she's a so-called 10 in Trump's eyes. However, such a comment is simply classic projection. While some may deem Behar's remarks sexist, they actually seem more like jealousy and a deliberate attempt to undermine Leavitt's qualifications and achievements. Karoline's sharp responses and eloquent delivery have stunned reporters, while Behar and her co-hosts on The View often struggle to avoid contradictions during their segments. If you're looking for evidence of Karoline's skill, just watch her on Good Morning America, where she quickly dismantled a tricky question with ease. It was an impressive display of media handling, and we've got all the best moments coming up.
Look, we want people to return to work. We have beautiful federal office buildings here in Washington, D.C. that American taxpayers are paying for. They should be used. That's what the American people deserve.
But is there any concern that we risk losing people with years of experience like doctors and let's say scientists?
Well, most doctors who work in actual hospitals and medical institutions have to show up to the office. We know that employees are more productive and more efficient when they are working in an in-office environment, and that's what this administration expects, and I think that's what American taxpayers expect. Don't forget, it's the American people who are funding this government, and they deserve people who are actually showing up to work on their behalf.
Every time Karoline Leavitt steps up to the podium, it's like observing a true expert dismantle the media's narrative. But it's not only the journalists who feel the pressure. Joe Biden wasn't spared from her sharp remarks either. Wrapping up her debut press briefing, Karoline took the opportunity to land some pointed critiques at the president, marking the end of soft questions and media protection. Believe me, the precision with which she delivered those remarks was unforgettable. Stick around for the best moments ahead. You definitely don't want to miss this.
Well, in terms of programming,
Sounds
should we
fun.
expect to see you here every day? How frequently will these press briefings be?
It is a good question, April. So look, the president, as you know, is incredibly accessible. First day here, he wanted all of you in the Oval Office. You got a 60-minute press conference with the leader of the free world while he was simultaneously signing executive orders. I may add that's pretty impressive. I don't think the previous office holder would be able to pull such a thing off. So look, the president is the best spokesperson that this White House has, and I can assure you that you will be hearing from both him and me as much as possible.
Shots fired, no question about it. With Karoline Leavitt now at the helm as Trump's press secretary, the media is already scrambling to keep up with her daring approach. Let's face it, it's only been a few days since Trump reclaimed the presidency, but it already feels like we've entered a whole new political era, one that's fast-moving, unpredictable, and full of vigor. As political strategist Craig Shirley wisely said, "Politics is movement," and Donald Trump embodies that like no other. The energy, the comebacks, the sheer force, it's all playing out right in front of us. And this is just the beginning. I'm excited to hear your thoughts. What's your take on Karoline's takedowns? Leave your comments below. And if you enjoy independent reporting that challenges the mainstream narrative, don't forget to subscribe and share this video with your friends. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.